Productions.
The Green Route merch available now on sourkidsmerch.com.
Due to suggestive adult themes and dialogue, this podcast is intended for adults. In other words, the truth is ugly, so we get ugly right along with it. Everything we say is out of love for ourselves, our people, and our community. Sincerely, the Green Route Podcast. All right, y'all. I want to welcome y'all back to the Green Route Podcast. I am GS.
And I am Marlissa. What's up, y'all? Welcome back.
Welcome back. We got some topics that we're going to jump right into.
Right in.
So, first and foremost, let's talk about the great firing that just occurred. So
the great
layoff, the great unhiring. So if you know, or maybe if you've noticed, Candace Owens has been doing a black media run.
Mm-hmm.
She was on the Breakfast Club. She was also on Joe Budden's podcast.
Yep.
I want to say a little bit while back ago, she was on the Revolt News. When they had their summit, she was on there.
Mm-hmm.
So Candace, I think, has been making plays.
Okay.
And I think
in black media.
Okay. Now let's be clear here. She's worked for the Daily Wire. What was the group?
Yeah. So was it Daily Mail? Hold on, let me.
I think it's Daily. Pretty sure it was the Daily Mail.
I'll find it while you.
But and Daily Mail is a conservative, right-wing news site, media site. And we all know that Candace Owens is conservative or conservative in her rhetoric. So this is interesting for a few different reasons. Number one, the reason why she was fired, allegedly, is because she opened up about what's going on with the Israel genocide. Of course, she didn't call it a genocide. She just used her words to say it's been a little bit excessive, and she's been a little critical. Now, if you're on the right side or the conservative right, if you're anywhere in that space, you know that is a automatic label of anti-Semitic.
That's right. So
what it looks like is she said all this. Now, let's be clear here. She said a lot of bullshit in the past, a lot of shit that doesn't make sense. Yet and still, this was the reason potentially why she was let go.
And that's real. Like, so when and it was the Daily Wire, by the way. So one of the co-founders is Ben Shapiro. Yeah. if that helps to put anything into context for y'all. So yeah, one of the things I thought about actually this morning. So I was with my kids at Madison, and somehow Candace Owens came up. Like, I think the teacher brought it up, and my kids was like,
that means it's working. That means it's working.
So the kids didn't know who she was, but I pulled up a picture and they were like, oh yeah, I've seen her before. So we kind of talked about who she was and kind of, the way she has leaned in her recent career. Because remember when Candace Owens was in high school and like early on, like she was here for like anti-discriminatory suits and shit like that. So anyway, I thought about like the thing that took Candace Owens down with all the crazy shit she has said, including, George Floyd deserved to be murdered because he was a drug addict. And
White Lives Matter.
White Lives Matter. Her and Kanye watching, wearing hoodies and shit together.
And she also said that white men are now the most persecuted or something like that. White men are the most, she either said white men are the most persecuted or she said white men are the most smartest or intelligent or educated or something like that.
I mean, she has followed the talk point playbook, right? Like, and the thing that I have against people like Candace Owens is that a lot of times I feel like they don't realize they're being used, or they do realize they're being used, but they're willing to just do it. They're, be used for the check. But they tend to set like almost like this figurehead for conservative America as a Black person, repeating the same talk points that conservative America wants Black people to hear and believe. And so she becomes almost like a pass for them. Like, hey, one of your own said it. Yeah. So, I mean, it must be the rest of y'all if one of these stand-up Black folks, right, who we consider exceptional, are saying the same things that we say. And that's incredibly harmful for us, because it's like, a lot of times what Candace says is out of context, and she forgets the history of a lot of the shit that she's saying. So she can say, oh, George Floyd was a drug addict. Sure. But I don't know about you. I don't know any Black people who can just figure out how to like get fentanyl in mass. In mass, like it comes from somewhere, the same way crack had to come from somewhere. So you forget all of the context.
So Dave Chappelle called her the most articulate idiot, and it makes so much sense because to your point that you're making, does she say factually accurate things? Yes.
Sure.
Does she say truthful things? I agree. The thing about what makes her what makes her so problematic, let me use that word. What makes her so problematic is the fact that she's very much so aware of what the Democratic Party has done to Black people, the ineffectiveness of certain things. She's very aware and very keen on those things, which again, I wouldn't disagree with her. I wouldn't disagree with some of the points that she makes. The problem is, where do you rest your hat on? You rest your hat on with people like Trump, with the right side. It's almost as if someone is telling you, hey, don't get in the cage with that bear. That bear will kill you. He's going to claw you to death. Come to this cage with the tigers. Doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm listening to you when you're talking about the bears because you make sense. Yeah. But you're telling me to come over here to this side? Right. With these folks? Right. The thing is, what I loved about the Charlemagne conversation, the Breakfast Club conversation, two things. Number one, the part where she talked about Trump being a good businessman and Charlemagne pushed back on it. He was like, but he's failed at so many of his business ventures. Her response was, well, don't businesses fail? Business people try ideas and don't they all fail? I'm saying that kind of defeats the whole point of what you just said. Yeah. You said you like him because he's good for business, yet someone is pointing out how shitty he is in business. That in itself creates contradiction. Yeah. So baby, you making yourself look like you cap for white men on top of the fact that you did say, let me correct myself, you said straight white males are now treated like Black Americans during segregation. Oh, God. So, baby, what it seems like, if I'm going to be a psychologist for my psychologist hat, I'm going to diagnose her with white male fetishization.
I like that.
That's what I would say. That's what I would say it is. I like now, her fetishizing, her the word is, I get it. Her having a white male fetish might come as a result of her experiences, in the past. And I'll give her that because she explained more of her lawsuit or the situation that happened with her while she was in high school. Right. And as a result of what happened there, it made her dislike the NAACP because she felt like they just used her as a face to get a point across and all that. And she wouldn't be wrong.
Only to be used as a face to get a point across later on in your career.
And I'm saying that you wouldn't be wrong for being upset with them. My thing is, I would just want to know where this anti-Black male hate started. Because I can see the NAACP was one thing that made me be like, that was that. You also talked about how you loved Asian men for a period of time in the beginning of your, dating experiences and all that. So I just would want to know where did this anti-Black male come from. But again, it's very much possible that you're not anti-Black male, that you're just pro-white male.
I think for her too, like based on the track record, like causation equals correlation for her. So I think if one person caused her harm, like she correlates that with everybody's bad. So maybe she had a bad heartbreak from a Black man at one point or what, but because it seems like once the NAACP like used her, right? She was just like, I ain't fucking with niggas no more.
I ain't fucking with these. Done.
And I mean,
which I'd understand. Let's be clear. But I get that.
I also feel like she has to understand what the NAACP has been since their inception, right? They have cherry picked their cases in order to get the most eyes on it to set precedent for the future. Like, right. And what I do love about writers in Hollywood right now that are doing movies about that time, specifically the civil rights movement, is that they are starting to call that out. How many cases were ignored because, not enough people will care or not enough eyes will get on it. And the NAACP was just like, actually, this one we can make a case out of. And so there were a lot of cases that were thrown to the wayside simply because it wasn't going to go national. So I also need her to understand that this is the nature of the beast that you were fooling with at the time.
This is.
Like, think about Ben Crump, right? How many people you think go to him with a case every day?
A bunch.
He has to choose the one that's going to get the eye so that we can see. And I'm not saying it's for bigger change all the time.
Right.
Sometimes it really is for their own brand and their own practice to grow.
Right.
But NAACP ain't never been no different. Not to say they haven't done great work for the civil rights movement.
Not saying that at all.
But yeah, understand that like in this PR game, they had to choose the cases that were going to get them where they wanted to go.
And I think that she's smart enough that she should know that. But for whatever reason, she still chooses to go against that. I think that now that Candace Owens realizes that she's going to have to do this on her own, I personally don't agree with the Breakfast Club giving her a platform. I personally don't agree with Joe Buttons. I personally don't agree with black media sites giving her a platform. I don't agree with it, generally speaking. But if she's going to be on there, I love what Jess is Hilarious did. She was like, she said, Candace, finish the statement for me. She said, God is good.
What she say? Amen.
She said, yeah, God is great. God is good. God is great. Amen. No, Candace. That's not what you say. That's not it. That's not it. She asked Charlemagne, well, let me ask you. God is good, man.
All the time.
And all the time.
God is good.
All right, y'all. So let's just so everyone knows the proper response to that, because Candace clearly doesn't know it. So the thing about it is this is what makes Candace looks so terrible. How can you claim to be so truthful and opinionated about the affairs of black people, again, for their betterment, because that's how you're coming off, for the betterment of black people, yet you don't even know us close enough to know our colloquialism. You're not even close enough to know what we really
You ain't
feel.
been hanging out with
you don't understand, which again makes sense to your point.
And where's your grandma? Because if you ain't got a grandma, that's why you don't know half of this stuff. Is because grandma ain't sat you down and made you say God is good, God is great, thank you for the food. Like you ain't been there. And truth be told, and that might be as a result. Because again, when she was talking about her high school experience, she talked about a very mixed group of people that she was around. So I'm telling y'all right now, when y'all be wanting to send your kids to X school, because it's a better education, better opportunities, all of this, you have to understand that there is a lot of cultural nuance. There's a lot of cultural aspects that they are going to lose, and you could end up with the Candace Owens yourself. Amen. So Candace, thank you, but no thank you. Yeah. Until we sincerely believe that you are doing this for the betterment of people and not being a grifter like the person that you are choosing to align yourself with. He is a grifter and you are aligning yourself with him. I automatically think you're a grifter too. Automatically think you're just trying to take advantage. Birds of a feather. But your grandma would have taught you that too, had you?
They would have taught you that if you would have heard that, if you would have hung around long enough.
It's cool.
But you didn't.
And didn't. All right, y'all. By the way, Candace is supposed to be bringing back her show on YouTube, if you into that, after a brief hiatus. Speaking of, let's talk about one of Candace's favorite people in the world, Sir Donald Trump, former president. He's selling Bibles.
My man is slanging the word. Now, if you recall, there was a time in his presidential career to where he had to do a photo op. He was doing a photo op, and a part of that photo op. you know what I'm talking about. So it was during the George Floyd protest, remember? Yes. When they had put all the gates up around the White House. Yes. And like they had, I mean, it was fucking crazy. They had like the National Guard out there. Not because niggas are violent, but because we were demanding not to be shot or strangled in the street. That's right. That's it. So he gets Secret Service to walk him across the street to, I believe it was St. John's Parish. And he poses for this photo that I showed it to my kids at Madison this morning. And you know the first thing that came out their mouth? What? That looks evil. Because the Bible was upside down, turned around. He was holding it like
don't nobody hold a Bible like this. Like most of us are.
Nobody.
You know what I mean? Those of us who read.
Look, y'all. Let me help you understand. Holding the Bible like this, bent.
It was like.
No, what you're supposed to do. Let me show you. You gotta nestle it. You gotta nestle it.
The word.
You gotta hold it close to your heart.
Let me show you his nestle photo. Hold
Thine
on.
word I hold in my heart.
Amen. That I might not.
Trump and the Bible don't mix.
No.
Trump and the Bible don't mix.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even us having our differing religious views on Christianity, Islam, all of that, we still know though that we can still recognize when someone has a reverence for the Bible. We can still recognize what that looks like. Mm-hmm. And clearly this man don't. So as a result of this, he is now seen by me, at least, by us. I won't say by us, as someone who really don't give a shit. He don't give a shit.
No, Trump don't read no Bible. Remember when he was running, it was like, what's your favorite Bible verse? And he was like, honestly, I just feel like that's really personal. I don't want to talk about that in a press conference.
It's very political response.
It's just a book. What's your favorite book? You know what he said?
What did he say? Oh, he said
2 Corinthians.
2 Corinthians.
Again, Candace, if you're listening, how would you...
What is her scripture?
How would you refer to that book of the Bible?
What? I'd want to know. Mm-hmm. I want to know what it. I mean, does she? I don't know.
Yeah, because I promise you, it ain't 2 Corinthians.
It ain't 2 Corinthians, y'all.
That ain't it.
So, y'all, he has now moved on to. What I realize is this: he realized that he has 3 groups that he can grip from.
Okay.
That he can appeal to. So, of course, we have the Christian folks. Mm-hmm. We have the Christian folks. Evangelical, God is first. So that's that group. So right now he's on that wave.
Okay.
Also, we have the I have no better way to describe this group outside of poor white trash. Poor white trash. And when I say poor white trash, I mean that in the most respectful way, because I have white counterparts who consider themselves poor white trash, and they've told me that it's not a slur for them. But J.
Cole said it, like poor white folks who are ignorant.
But if I'm gonna clean it up, I'm gonna say poor white folks who are ignorant. Poor white people who are ignorant. There's that group. Mm-hmm. The other group, the donors, the millionaire folks, the tax break folks, the folks who've been playing politics on the conservative side. But they also have links to Sacker. They also have connections to like the think tanks with the money. Yeah. So those are the 3.
They're gonna need the favor when he gets in.
Those are the 3 main groups that he appeals to. So right now, he's appealing to the Christians, to the Bible thumpers, to those.
So interestingly enough,
I want to see these Bibles though.
These are $60 Bibles, by the way.
$60.
I ain't never known a word of God.
Is he autographing these
bestsellers? $60. They're called the God Bless America Bibles. But here's the thing, y'all. So Trump, he got a lot of financial woes right now. So he got he had a lob tossed his way earlier this week when a appeals judge in New York said that he would reduce his bail from $454 million. His bond from $454 million to $175, and gave him an extra 10 days to come up with the money. Mm-hmm. So Trump's lawyer said, yep, we're going to, stay in line with the decision. I'll post either a bond, securities, or cash. Mm-hmm. So the day after, because Monday was the day that Leticia James was going to be able to start seizing his assets. Mm-hmm. So that was the day the appeals judge made the decision. Tuesday, a company that merged with the company that owns Truth Social, I believe it's called Trump Media. There was another company that was like pretty much a shell company called Digital World Acquisitions. That was just money. That's all it was a pile of cash. They merged after a board vote, and they went public with an offering on the NASDAQ on Tuesday. The stock blew up. Now, was it inflated? 100%.
Probably so.
Every analyst says that the stock is probably worth about $2, right? But right now, Tuesday, the last time I looked, yesterday, I think it was trading at $71. So here's what I think is interesting about your theory about the pockets, right? You got the evangelicals and potentially the poor white folks who are ignorant,
Mm-hmm.
who a lot of them,
Appreciate the
crazy
correction.
enough. Well, I was thinking about J. Cole's verse on Miguel's song, right?
You're right.
Trump saying slick shit, manipulating poor white folks because they, yes. So
Facts.
that's how I thought about it. But one thing I thought about when I saw the Bible thing, I was like, yeah, that's that first two buckets, right? The evangelicals, but then also poor white folks who are ignorant, because a lot of times they are very heavily like into the church, into their religion.
He can kind of double down, kind of double dip.
That's a double dip. So I'm like, you can sell $60 Bibles to these people who call themselves patriots and Christians, and this is the man of God who was sent to save this country, selling these Bibles. But then on the other side with this offering, right? Those two first buckets are not playing in the stock market. Maybe some of the evangelicals are.
That third one, though.
That third one, if I want to help my guy raise, and it could be up to $3 billion because he owns 58% of the stock in this company, I'm going to go buy a shit ton of this on the day of the offering. And that is going to be my contribution to help him get this bond taken care of. Now, again, he doesn't have to put up cash. He just has to be able to show on paper that he's worth it, and then go to an underwriter that says, okay, I'll back that bond for you. No problem, because it shows that you just made $3 billion in a matter of days. So I'm sitting here thinking, like, as much as I hate this man and I despise him, the one thing that I will give him is that he's smart enough to keep very, very smart people, high paid people around him. And when I saw the merging of that company and the way that offering was about to go to the NASDAQ, I was thinking this is a dog whistle to his very wealthy base who may not want to be able, who may not give like a donation flat out.
No.
But I can go buy this trash stock that I know is trash. And if I own a certain number of it, if I own 5%, right, what Trump says is who owns more than 2% of this company. Those are the people I'm going to take meetings with when I get back in office. And those are the people I'm going to do favors with.
Absolutely.
Because that means they gave me a shit ton of money in my time of need.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, I think that is how the game is being played.
Oh, no, that's exactly how the game is being played. I think what we have to understand is they now see Trump as a commodity. He is now, he if one thing he can do, he can sell. And they've realized that he has a broad base that will eat up anything he says. The Bibles is just like a lower level.
That's his lunch money.
Yeah, that's a lunch money, lower level, low hanging fruit to show you that I can make these sales, to show you that the people are what the people value me enough to make these purchases, to actually make this investment. So I'm actually on my way to being president. I'm still an asset that you can invest in. Yeah. And that's what he's done well. He's shown that even though I have all this litigation against me, even though I've broken all these laws in America, I can still be worth something. Oh my goodness. And that's what he owns.
Let me see how much his stock is worth today. Let's see what it's hitting on. Meme Media is 2.0. They comparing it to that GameStop.
GameStop stock? Yeah. One that
boosts the former president's wealth. Let's see what Barron said about it.
So y'all, specifically with all this that's going on with Trump, I think that this is an opportunity for us to pay very close attention to see, number one, how he's been able to dodge accountability, how he's still foregoing this entire process. I, again, see this as one of the greatest exercises in white male privilege, to be able to do all of this, to be able to go through all of this, to be able to deal with multiple judgments across state lines, and yet still be the forerunner of the presidency of the United States. If nothing else screams ghetto about America, I don't know what else does. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what else does. Like, America has always tried to make itself look a little bit more sophisticated than what it is. This is not helping. That's right. This does not help at all.
It's ghetto.
This is ghetto. This is we have South American countries right now that are looking a lot more organized. The leadership is looking a lot more poised, a lot more in tune with the people, not divisive than us. So I'm just saying, y'all, the writings continue to show themselves on the wall, specifically with him.
That's real. That's real.
And then let's be clear here. Biden is not, in my opinion, any better.
Are we gonna
in terms of character, in my mind, in terms of character.
Yeah.
He's not. Has he made decisions that are probably more thoughtful of us as a nation? I would say so. I would say so. But I think the bar is so low that all you have to do is just come off not looking like a dictator. If you can make yourself not look like a dictator, then you actually don't look too bad.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. By the way, y'all, the stock is trading at just over $68 right now. Crazy.
That's a huge jump from where it started.
Crazy. All right, y'all. Let's see where we going here. We said we was gonna get to Biden, and here we are. Let's get to Biden. So okay, y'all. Last week, I think we talked about the pending ceasefire resolution that was sitting with the UN Security Council, the one that the one that the United States had put on the table. Well, on Friday, China and Russia, vetoed it, and they vetoed it because of some language that was in it. So then there was another resolution put forward that actually passed on Monday, so day before yesterday. All 14, not all 14, but 14 council members of the UN Security Council voted in favor of it. The U.S. abstained from voting, but did not veto it. Which is a small amount of progress. It's a sliver of progress, because as you would remember in the past, we have absolutely stood in the way of any type of resolution being passed calling for an immediate ceasefire. So what this resolution does is it calls for immediate ceasefire for the month of Ramadan, which is actually over on April 9th. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken. So it's about, so 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah. What it also says is that there is a demand for the release of all hostages being held in Gaza. Now, here's the issue with all of this. Yes, the ceasefire resolution passed. Yes, the UN Security Council was finally able to get this piece of paper passed, right? But then what, right? I think that's a question I've been getting from a lot of people. Does the fighting stop? The answer is no, because if you paid attention to what is going on in Gaza, since that resolution has passed, Gaza has been bombarded in the south, right? Where those people were told to seek shelter and where they were told they would be safe. Rafah specifically, a city. Yeah. Yes. We're talking about the tip of Gaza, right? If you go any further south, they're in Egypt. Yeah. So that's the corridor that, folks have been trying to get that humanitarian aid through. Here's the other thing that happened on Monday. So after the United States refused to veto the ceasefire, but abstained from voting, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did two things. Number one, he was just like, obviously the United States' refusal to veto the resolution shows a stark change in their policy. And the second thing he did was said that he was going to cancel a planned trip with high-ranking Israeli officials. They were supposed to be meeting with the Biden administration about alternatives to the impending ground offensive in Rafah. Right. So he mad, pretty much. Benjamin Netanyahu was upset that Biden didn't tell, what's her name, Linda, who was our UN? I forgot her name. The black lady. My sister. Said that who they using it. I hate that too. We said that in another podcast. We hate that she's the spokeswoman. Raising her hand. Benjamin Netanyahu is upset. Even then, we have to remember that the United States, even though we didn't veto, even though we've been calling as of late for a ceasefire, for a pause in the fighting, for the release of hostages, all of that, we have not cut off military aid. Have not. To Israel. And what we've learned recently is that 69% of the
ammunition, the guns.
Say that.
69%. That's over 2/3 of their weaponry comes from us. A big part of it are their fighter jets, are their missile drone systems. That's something that
the Iron Dome.
America is producing. So it's just one of those things where it's like, who are y'all protecting?
Yeah.
Who are y'all really protecting? It's like the not the disrespect, but it's more of the, well, no, I'm gonna call it disrespect, because you think that, are we stupid? Like,
we're tricking.
Like, I don't understand. I don't understand how you can call again. They didn't even call for, well, Kamala called for a ceasefire.
Yes.
Again, a temporary ceasefire. Let's be clear. It wasn't even like a real ceasefire. It wasn't really that. Biden has kind of mentioned
we may need to pause the fighting to get some aid in.
Just to get some aid in. But you can tell that it's starting to wane on them. But the thing about it is, if they're seeing it, if they're seeing the need for at least a pause, do you think the American citizens don't realize that you're still sending them guns?
Right.
How can you cause for a pause in fighting, but you're still sending them weapons?
That's it.
Why can't you just come out and say, you know what, on our part, to really have the power to call for a pause and make a pause happen? Can we just stop sending them weapons?
That's it.
Or at least as of today, we're gonna stop sending them weapons, because that'll really substantiate our claim, or at least what we're called, quote unquote, we're calling.
It shows we standing on business. Like, hey, I'm not gonna say, hey, Gabe, stop beating that lady with a bat, and I'm giving you a bat every time the one you beating her with bricks.
Oh, listen, bro, yeah.
Like,
it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Stop it.
It doesn't make any.
But here though, like, so that is the thing, right? And this has been what other international leaders are beginning to call the United States on. Like, hey, you can't sit in the UN Security Council meetings and say that, the people of Gaza are suffering and that we're going to build a temporary port to give humanitarian aid in there, when the reason they even need the humanitarian aid, 70% of the reason, plus some, I'm going to say, because we're also just funding the lifestyle over there, is because of your work. It's because of our tax dollars. So one of the things my kids asked me this morning is crazy, that I feel like my kids have driven a lot of the conversation for the podcast today. But they were like, well, what if Israel doesn't adhere to the ceasefire resolution? What happens then? And I was like, that's a great question.
That's a great question.
So first of all, we can 100% say that the United States is like Big Daddy Biden right now, like, is getting played. So, Netanyahu shows up like, hey, Big Daddy Biden, I need another $4 billion in weapons. And Biden is like, man, all right, this is the last time I'm gonna give you weapons, but hey, make sure that you're not playing with these on the street. You know what I mean? Like, don't pop these off on the street. And Biden and Netanyahu was like, hey, fuck you, Big Daddy Biden. I'm gonna do what I want with my guns. That's pretty much the relationship that we have with Israel right now, as far as us providing all of this military aid.
Israel's like a badass kid that we're saying we watching and we controlling, but we not. And
he outside wreaking havoc. And the thing is, then the neighbor comes like, hey, did you know your kid is outside playing with fireworks? And then we go defend them. Like, we're that ghetto ass mama that's just like, oh, well, don't say shit to my kid. You know what I mean? Like, we're looking bad. We're looking, actually, you know what we're looking like? We're looking like that Karen who sees her son participating in certain acts. Actually, you know what we are? Kyle Rittenhouse's mama. You know where I'm going with this. I knew where you was going. You already know where I'm going with this. They ran that fool off of Memphis campus. Let's be clear here. The children who are shooting up schools, whose parents have now been pursued because they are somewhat responsible. The ones who were very much so aware of the problems that their children had, but yet and still turned a blind eye because guess what? It's their children. So this is how America is looking. Now, does America see Israel as their child? Not necessarily their child, more so a tool, I
of
saw somebody
finance.
say a nephew.
It's like a nephew that's gonna still make me some money. That's gonna still make the family money. That's what it really is.
A nephew that made it to the league.
That made it to the league, and you know what? You all right over there.
Like, so yeah, I stuck with him through high school and college. You know what I mean? Like, I bought him the cleats because I knew he was going. And so, yeah, now he made it. And it's just
so America has shown that they are the ultimate enabler of violence. And let's be clear. It happened, and this is my first time giving Reagan a little bit of credit. Something similar like this happened during Reagan's term, and Reagan called the prime minister then of Israel and said, "Hey, you got to stop this shit." And guess what? The following week, they stopped. Reagan looked back to I think he was talking to his Secretary of Defense and was like, wow, I didn't really realize I had that power. But he did.
Can we say that Trump 2 days ago called for, that was the first time where I was just like, Trump
was
can I quietly
was in
clap?
the media saying that we need to go, he said, you guys need to go ahead and wrap that up. Wrap that up. Let's go ahead and finish that before I'm elected, because I don't.
He said, I can't have that.
I can't have this. So if that, and that's how you know, again, that's how you know for sure that what they're doing over there is so terrible. If you have someone like Trump kind of backtracking on his perspective, because again, he said in the beginning, let's be clear, he's the one who called for the capital to be placed in Jerusalem. So that provoked a lot of Muslims worldwide. So let's be clear, he's probably paid by AIPAC, and he's been doing stuff that's been pro-Israel even since his term. But for him to come out and be like, y'all need to slow up, that is a clear sign that Israel is going too far. But again, if we think about America's history, America has a history of pumping up certain groups that support their interests, but then once they don't support their interests, they go a different direction. So Israel, if I was you, I'm gonna be honest, Israel, if I was you, I would actually be very careful. And this is not a defense of America. This is not me trying to help Israel, because that's not it at all. But Israel, if you were smart, you would know the history of how America's foreign policies have played out. And the way they played out is, over time, if you start costing me too much money, I will go against you.
Fucking up my other relationships.
I will go against you. So just be careful, Israel.
We're going to leave that right there. All right, y'all. Speaking of places that we've pumped up or fucked with, let's talk about Haiti.
Yeah.
So recently, she's an attorney and the program director for a human rights group that has been looking at what's going on in Haiti. And so I found it really interesting, a statement that was put out, and I'll actually find her name while I'm going through this, but a statement that was put out where she pretty much called out the United States for all of the weapons, the majority of the weapons that are being seen in Haiti, right? That are being used by these, by the resistance. I hate to call them criminal gangs, but by the resistance. And her statement said something to the effect of the firearms and ammunition that are being used to perpetuate mourning in Haiti are overwhelmingly coming from the United States. And she said that if the United States wants to help Haiti, number one, they need to help with figuring out how to allow these people to self-govern, number one. But number two, they need to crack down on the massive shipments that are going out from our borders into what honestly is, Haiti has vast borders, right? Because it's an island, right? But into a lot of the really unregulated, unmonitored borders in Haiti. They need to stop with the corruption, stop installing their own leaders that are going to puppeteer for them. And she literally said in a statement, if the United States truly wants to help, stop your gun problem from coming over here, because the gun problem that you're sending over here is causing mourning for families in Haiti.
We've said this once, we've said it twice, we'll say it again. When America wants to help a country, they send experts. When America wants to control a country, they send ammo. That's what's happening. That's what she's talking about. America is one of the largest arms dealers in the world.
In the world.
We have a lot of our best quote unquote economic relationships with countries have to do with ammo. Saudi Arabia, the reason why we're so cool with Saudi Arabia is not just because of the oil. Let's be clear. We're making money off the oil with them as well, but we've also given them we've probably supplied them with the most arms that any other country has. So I always tell people if you want to be entertained, if you want to, if you don't know much about the military industrial complex and you want to be entertained, watch God of War with Nicolas Cage. Watch that, be entertained. Does it have all the facts? No, but is it entertaining and it kind of starts that spark? Watch that movie. Then after that, research military industrial complex, and then you'll understand how there are companies that are based in America that love war. Yeah. But they don't love war because they love it. They love war because they profit so much from it. There is so much money that comes from selling guns. The reason why we still continue to have these fights today about these mass shootings in schools. Yeah. Literally, children are dying. And it's like, I always say death is the last step. Once you go beyond death, that's when you know a group, a person.
They don't give a shit.
They don't give a shit. So we've had children dying.
White children.
We can pause there.
Hook was the first one where all them white babies died.
We can pause there. It was, I want to say Sandy Hook was probably one of the first one. Columbine was high school, right? Columbine might have been from my experience.
That was the first one I remember.
Yeah. And we've had, the thing about it is this. When we point this out, a lot of people say, oh, it's a lot of, legislation. It's red tape. It's certain things that we can't impose on. My thing is, we know that when violent acts happen or when certain things happen, laws do change. Yeah. When Asians were starting to be attacked after the coronavirus, then I want to say within a few months, there was legislation on the board that talked about anti-Asian hate. That's right. Immediately. Yep. They have band together to make legislative change in the past as a result of violence, as a result of death. Again, we can even talk about even lighter things. When Black folks voted after Obama, they came in certain states set laws up to where you can't even give folks who are standing in line water.
Yes. You couldn't be in 100 feet
you couldn't be within 100 feet. Yeah. But you could be there with your gun watching folks. Yep. That's a different conversation. My point is, the laws change according to what they think is serious. So whenever serious things happen and no laws change, that's how you know that there are certain groups that have way more power than we realize. So again, going to my original point, the military industrial complex is bigger than just the wars. It's localized to when we're talking about here in our cities and states. They don't want to stop guns because guns make money.
And guns also perpetuate the things that they run on. So if I can pump guns into Chicago, then I can run on cleaning up the inner city, and I can run on, stopping gang violence in our inner city. So I look at what happened with the immigration and border law in the Senate, right? And how that died. Now that's something that both Republicans and Democrats were calling for. Democrats were calling for an aid package for allies. Republicans were calling for stronger border and immigration policy. So the two got together and was like, let's put a bipartisan bill out there that handles both. If y'all read through
I wonder who killed that. But continue.
If y'all read through this bill, it was everything everybody wanted. And I won't say everything, it was the majority. Of what everybody wanted. I'm talking about some draconian ass immigration and border policy laws that even Biden was like, I'll get behind this just to get it done and to get the aid for the allies I've been trying to get aid for. And you know what happened? Trump called his folks in the Senate and was like, I know y'all not about to pass border policy and immigration policy in a presidential election year when I need to run on this. Are you crazy? Have you lost your shit? And within a matter of days, y'all, that bill was killed. It was killed not because they actually want to clean up the border or not because they're actually interested in making a pathway to citizenship for people, but because it gives them something to run on. And to pander to people who are afraid of immigrants and who just hate brown people. So when I think about the gun issue, I'm like, it's more than even the money. It's if I can make things so bad that I can have people in fear.
You know what? That's more valid. That's
then
more valid.
I can run. I think it's both at the same time.
Yeah.
And then I can run on it. Like
it is the person in power who can control how guns move, or how anything moves, because they make that decision. Again, Trump has power over the Republican Party. He can make that decision for the sake of him potentially being All right, let me say this point. This is the point that it makes me think about, though, to be honest with you. I think about Henry Kissinger, right? So Henry Kissinger, during Nixon's campaign, Nixon was in a battle, the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War could have been over, because let's be clear here, America did not win that. Henry Kissinger advised him to keep the war going, because if it stopped, it would be not useful for his next run in the next election. So to Mel's point, this is something that's been happening for years. They are totally okay with playing politics and kicking the ball down the road for the sake of one specific person having power in a political space. So I stand corrected, and I'm not corrected too many times, but I stand corrected. You are right. That means more. Now, whatever the power is, whether that power is a culmination of money, getting laws passed, just power in general, whatever that culmination is, a lot of times war, specifically, if we're talking about Haiti, these things will continue to happen because there are certain people who would rather play politics and realize that let's keep this going because this is what benefits me. This is what benefits my campaign. So I think that, again, it shows how American politics are that dangerous that literally people will continue to die. Countries will continue to be fucked up and ravaged, all for the sake of someone being reelected.
I got no notes. And the only thing I can say is, I don't know if I'm that good at any long game. Like, I've always been impressed by the long game of very good politicians, the way that, and that, not I say politicians, but I will say political structures or political entities, the way that they are able to engineer and manufacture these honestly brilliant, even if evil, these brilliant plans to get what they want. 50 years. Look at Roe v. Wade, right? That was 50 years in the making.
50 years.
And they had the patience, and then they passed that shit down through generations to get what they wanted ultimately.
And they waited. I'll say this. When I was younger, when I was probably in my 20s, my early 20s, you know, the conspiracy theorists who just, you know, would tell us about, oh, it's a long game. They playing the long game. And I was just like, ain't no game long enough for this. No. It is. The thing about it is this: when you have a history of being violent, when you have a history of taking people's land, settler colonialism, again, it didn't start with Israel. America has had his history in being the same way. When we talk about the history of what European Americans, what they had to do in America, again, coming to Plymouth Rock, meeting Native Americans, not knowing shit about the land, and then the natives helping them, you know, with food, and then years later them backstabbing them and taking their land. This long game that we're talking about. This is nothing new. They have been doing this. The idea of violence, again, one thing I know for sure I've noted that I will always give white businesses that are in the military industrial complex, I'll give them full on credit, because full-on credit for being able to be the most violent, for being able to kill the most people in mass. I mean, don't get me wrong, they don't necessarily deserve a award for it, but for whatever reason, they haven't been able to fix racism. They haven't been able to fix homelessness. They haven't been able to fix the inequalities, inequities within our countries. They haven't been able to fix any of those things that really matter to the people. But you know what they're good at? Killing.
For
wars.
the sake of what they want.
For the sake of what they want.
Yeah.
Playing the long game, 10 years, 20 years down the line, they have done an outstanding job. They are their expertise is just by far unmatched. And that, I don't know if we want to laud that, applaud that. I don't know. But it's clear that is what they're good at.
That's real. I wish we had awards for that. Like, you know what I mean? Because it'd be a fucked up award show. But like, at least we could see.
We can see like y'all have changed the entire system of democracy to settle on ideas that war or putting money towards war is way more important than fixing the problems here.
Real.
And I don't know how they did it, but they did it.
Maybe in my next lifetime. Yeah, because right now, child. All right, y'all. Last topic, and we're gonna get y'all out of here. We have got to talk about Diddy. Okay. You think he in Antigua?
I think he's in Antigua. I definitely think he's not here.
He ain't here.
He ain't here. I don't know where he is. I don't know where Diddy is. I don't know where he's gone.
Where's Diddy?
And to be honest with you, I'm the kind of person to where I am a guilty until I am a innocent until proven guilty kind of person. So I'm not going to be the first person to say, yeah, Diddy did it. And it's a lot of memes, a lot of viral moments that are going out, new scenes that are coming out. But I'm not going to sit up here. I'm not going to get on that bus. If anything, what it makes me think of is this. Black celebrityism has always been at that level of untouchableness or the ability to be untouchable. Again, when I think about this, I think about OJ.
Okay.
I think about individuals, you know, who have separated themselves so much from the community that they do feel like that they are impervious to certain critiques. Okay. Now, I'll give Diddy credit in the sense to where he never pulled himself away from black people like OJ did, but at the same time, in mass, as a quote unquote average earning Black American in the United States, I can't relate to Diddy. I can't relate to Diddy or his friends. I can't relate to any of that. Yeah. So my thing is, when you have that disconnect, you kind of find yourself falling into behaviors, into activities that you feel like you can just do, and 100%. No one else will hold you accountable for.
Who gonna check me? Yeah.
And therein lies the problem. Because once you start dealing with other people's investments, other people's money, that's when you open the door for folks to look at you like Bill Cosby. You done did some stuff, but instead of us holding you accountable, we thinking about the white folks who gonna benefit from you being out the way. So for me, when I think about all this, I would say that Diddy has been in the game too long. Way too long, and it makes sense for him to have dirt that's connected to him because of all of this. But the thing about it is, that's why you have to stay grounded.
Yes, and so I am. I guess I have to say that, you know, I'm also innocent until proven guilty, but. One thing that Cat Williams said, I think it was in Pimpin' Pimpin'. It's Pimpin' Pimpin'. He was talking about Michael Jackson. He was like, don't nobody tell lies on you for decades at a time. Don't nobody lie about you for 20 years. It was like, at some point, the lies will stop, the rumors will die because people get bored with them. But if it is the truth, it tends to just kind of maintain itself. And there have been rumors about Diddy for years. Especially having something to do with the Tupac thing. Like,
now, California people,
in LA, let's be clear
here. Let's be clear here. LA, California, they ain't never letting Tupac go. Y'all not leveling
wanna know.
that.
We wanna know.
Y'all automatically are, and there's more stuff that then came out that I didn't watch concerning Diddy that makes me think. But here, I don't know.
No, I mean, and growing up in LA, right, where Tupac was absolutely one of my favorite artists growing up. Like, of course, I was looking at Diddy sideways, like, So then some of the like sexual allegations came out, like sexual misconduct allegations came out, and just some of the things that he was into. Cool. So I want to touch on the point you made though about being untouchable, because I think that's one of the big issues that I have always had with very powerful men in particular in Black culture and in media culture. That even with R. Kelly, I cannot tell you how many articles I wrote starting in 2016 about why as a culture we should not separate the art from their artists. From the artists from their art. And a lot of times people was like, oh, he's making bops. He got us two-stepping. I hear you. That's great. I appreciate that. But because he got us two-stepping in the name of love does not give him the jurisdiction or the freedom to be able to run through people the way that he does. That's how I feel about it. I don't care how well I write, how many great points I make. I can't walk around on the street slapping people because I fucking feel like it. Period. And I wouldn't want anyone to allow me to get away with that type of shit. So when I look at Diddy, I see the same thing. I see someone who is so wealthy, and we talk about this with Trump, right? We talk about this with people who have so much money that they can create their entire reality, right? Because the people around them are going to do whatever the fuck because you have so much money that who's going to tell you no?
Who's going to check you, boo?
Who's going to tell me? You on the payroll. If you tell me no, then that means your livelihood is officially in danger. And a lot of people don't have the backbone to be like, fuck you and this livelihood. You wrong. I'm out. Right. Period. Let's call that what it is. So I think that's exactly what happened to Diddy. I think Diddy, not to say that he didn't work hard but I also think that you have to have almost a certain level of like crazy to even make it to that point, because the things that you have to do to get there is pretty intense. Like it's pretty intense. Right. So Diddy, whatever happened, right? And these things will come out. I believe that 100%. We already read Cassie's lawsuit, and then there's the new one wild. In New York where these ladies talked about what happened to them. You have the former executive, the music executive, who talked about being sexually assaulted by him. So all of this stuff is absolutely going to come out. The thing I worry about, and hear me when I say it, y'all, on this day, March 27, 2024. Diddy does not own all of Diddy. Diddy's money is tied up by some people who have more money than him. You have to remember that even the bosses have bosses, right? The thing I worry about with Diddy is like a Jeffrey Epstein situation, where if he starts talking, the powers that really be are going to shut him the hell up. Very valid point. I worry about his safety at this point, and us actually being able to understand what happened to these women, what happened to these men as well. You have to remember that part of this whole raid had to do with a federal investigation and probe into trafficking, including male prostitutes, some of whom apparently and allegedly were brought over via visa fraud. Like they weren't even like documented citizens. So there's trafficking when it comes to that. There's trafficking of alleged trafficking of minors, right? Child pornography. When you read the list of federal probes that were going on that led to these two raids, you're like, oh my fucking God. Yeah. But I worry that we won't be able to get too much from Diddy, because I fear that if he actually starts talking or tries to cut a deal or something like that, the powers that be that would also be outed if he talks are going to shut him up. I do not believe that Jeffrey Epstein was in there and was just like, oh, I did wrong and I should just pay for this. No. I am a big believer that he was connected to so many powerful people who would go down. Who said he's better dead than in jail. That's it.
So I think I didn't think about that, but that's a very valid fear for Diddy. If Diddy does choose to make the choice to talk and have a real conversation about what's happened in the past and who would be implicated in that, how that could be harmful to him. I'm like I said, my goal, I think when it comes to like sexual assault victims, there's no way to right the wrongs of what they've felt and what they've experienced. The hope is for them to find peace and some amount of not respect, but not payback. But I hope that they get something to help them find closure in these situations.
Yeah.
Diddy's going to be on the run. Not on the run. He's not on the run. Let's be clear. His lawyer came out and said he's not on the run. But Diddy's going to be dealing with this for a little bit of time. And I just hope that the truth comes out.
Do we have extradition treaties with Antigua?
I think no. But
because it was given Russell Simmons. I'm just saying.
It was given that. So yeah. So y'all, I don't know. I can't necessarily say I'm praying for Diddy, but I'm praying for the victims. I'm praying for Diddy's children for sure. I'm praying for them because I want to say two or three of his children, were under Kim and they lost Kim.
Yeah.
So to lose their father too, I can't imagine what that would feel like. I don't care how much money you got.
Yeah. And I think it was 3 of his sons were at the house when the raid happened.
Yeah, when the raid happened.
Yeah, I mean, they had to watch that. And I'm going to be honest, like those kids, like they can't choose. They didn't have a choice of what they were born into, right? And so a lot of times I sit there and think about them like, even if they were involved, right, this is all they've ever, it's like being in a cult. This is all they've ever known.
If anything, I just hope that they learn. Like, number one, let's say if they believe that their father did nothing wrong, or let's say if Diddy didn't do anything wrong, let's say this is all just a circus against him. Let's hope that they learn that your behaviors around certain people, especially if you have some amount of power, can come back to you.
That's it.
You sitting up here thinking that, oh yeah, man, we just finna party. We just finna do this. We finna do that. No, you cannot party with everyone. You cannot do everything with everyone. And you cannot buy yourself out of every situation.
There's a reason Beyonce got people signing NDAs to party with her.
For nothing. NDAs for nothing.
Yep. Just to be around
just to be close.
Sign an NDA. So yeah, I mean, that is for her own protection. Right. And so, yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. What my prayer for Diddy is that nothing happens to him. As, the feds and everyone else tries to uncover the truth of what happened here. And it's going to be messy.
It's going to be
because
real messy.
Diddy is one of the biggest names of our generation.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Legendary for sure.
Yeah. And all right, y'all, that's what we got for today. You want to check in?
Let's check in. Okay. So I was playing basketball yesterday. I was getting buckets. I didn't score not 1 point, but I did. But I did hurt my foot. I hurt my foot coming down. I played excellent defense though. Let's be clear.
I love it.
My defense was A1. Defense was A1. Yeah, right. But I hurt myself coming down. So now I walk with a limp, not like a pimp. But outside of that, okay, I'm fine.
You got a little gangster lean. I saw it. I saw it.
It was a little one leg shorter than the other. I dance in a circle. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
What about you? How are you?
I'm good. We were talking last week about having time to get back in the gym. So I got in there Monday, lifting, and my body hurt so bad. But I went yesterday. I got it in again. I'm taking the day today just to allow my muscles some type of repair because y'all, it hurt to sit down, right? Like at this point,
right?
But yeah, I was just really grateful to be able to be back in the gym, to have the time, during the day to actually be there. So everything's good. Got a busy week coming up, and then I'm actually in Orlando next week, so I guess I don't know, we might have to record early.
Turn up
Wednesday.
Turn up. We're gonna record early because she's gonna be kicking it in Orlando.
Not kicking it, y'all.
Oh, so work. Sorry, it's gonna be work /
cool opportunity. So I'm covering the Disney Dreamers Academy.
Oh, that's dope.
And Dallas actually has 5 teenagers who were selected as Disney Dreamers. So I'll get to go hang out at Disney World for the first time in my life, but also get to hang out with these exceptional young people from Dallas.
Well, that's going to be great. That's going to be great.
So I'm excited about that.
So tell us, make sure you come back and let us know how it went.
We'll give a shout out to our 5 babies who, from the Dallas area.
Let us know if you received well by Ron DeSantis, because he loves Disney World and Black Dreamers.
I seriously doubt that we will see Ronnie. But if I run into Steve Harvey, I'll ask him a question about his suit or something.
Go ahead.
We'll see. But yeah, doing pretty good.
So I want to shout out the magnesium powder that I take. It's so good.
We're getting old.
It's so good.
When we
The
shot
night
out
before.
magnesium powder,
Yes,
it's real.
It's shout out Thorn. Shout out Thorn is the brand. I have great nights of sleep.
I
want to endorse y'all. I'm gonna be honest. I want to endorse y'all because you work so well.
I love that. Black Girl Vitamins, want to shout y'all out. I was supposed to go to the event,
vitamins,
but yeah, since we shouting out vitamins and magnesium powders and whatnot, want to shout y'all out. So
shout out.
And then what's our other friends that we may be doing work with? The app, the platform for mental health for Black women. You told me about it.
Akina.
Yeah, shout y'all out.
Shout out to Akina.
All right, y'all. We're gonna get out of here. Sour Kids, Kenny, love you, brother.
Make sure y'all follow Sour Kids Productions as well.
All right.
So
and follow the Green Route at the Green Route Pod on all the platforms. It's the same on all of them. And don't forget to follow our YouTube. We're getting a little subscribership on there, so share, send it to your mama and them. And yeah, we'll see y'all next week.
See y'all. Peace.